welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
I'm Joey Evans.
And today we're going to take a look at Enola Holmes, finder of lost souls. Not the lost souls. Lost souls.
Finder of lost souls.
Lost souls. The board game.
Yes.
This is coming to you from Gale Force 9. I was so excited when this came in the office. I really am a fan of the TV show, and I'm iffy on deduction games. So when I saw it, I was like, yes. And then I read it, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But I was really excited to try it and see if this kind of hit that sweet spot of deduction for me, where it's challenging, yet fulfilling, and you don't feel stupid. I don't like feeling stupid. How do you feel about feeling stupid?
I don't feel stupid. I don't like feeling stupid. I will say I was excited about the IP, not excited about the game, because unlike you, I had no idea what this was going in.
Oh, okay.
And the box size, as we'll talk about later, kind of screams a different message than what's inside,
yes.
I think.
Yeah.
So I wasn't excited as far as that goes.
So that being said, the game does come with a quick start rule book, which we'll talk about our thoughts on that. But on that note, we used the quick start rule book the first time we played,
right.
And I think it's a really good jumping off point. So what we're going to do is, rather than an overview, is we're going to show you a dummy first round. Well, I guess like kind of a dummy half round.
Yeah.
So rather than an overview, let's cut to that, kind of get an idea how it plays, and then we'll let you know what we think.
Okay.
All right, the easiest way to show this game off is just going to be to do a dummy round here. So I have Joey with me, who's going to be playing as Edith and Sherlock, and we're going to walk you through the first round of the game. The game is played over 4 rounds, and you have the Making Trouble or the Criminal, who I'm going to play, and then you have the Heroes,
detectives.
Yeah.
I
I like that. The detectives, who again have 4 rounds to try to guess these crime cards. These have been set out before game as me, and he's going to be visiting different locations that I've also set up, each of which has a clue under them. So he's trying to get these symbols down here in order to solve this location so that he can get that clue and try to decipher what the crime is up here in the order of those cards. So with that, let's just jump right in. All right, so the first step is the detectives are going to draw a hand up to 6 cards. So replace cards they used in the previous round. Start of the game, they already have 6. So we go to the second one. They can move their detectives. Again, he is playing two-handed here, so he has 2 detectives and is going to go ahead and decide which location they're going to go to investigate.
Right, so I'll take Sherlock, and Sherlock will try this one, and next Edith is going to try this one.
Perfect. All right, so the next stage here is the solving the puzzles. So each of these, starting with the lead player, is going to play cards from his hand, trying to get these symbols to match here in order to investigate that location.
And Sherlock right here has a couple of symbols here that are going to give him these abilities. However, he does not have 2 crowns. I'll look through my hands, and I've got these 2 cards right here that both have the crowns on them. I'm going to go ahead and play these. So then I can actually find this out, be able to flip it and get the clue, but now she gets a chance to respond.
That's right. So it is important to note here that the lead investigator in this stage can play between 1 and 3 cards. So he did decide to hold back just a little bit. So now we go into the Criminal Makes Trouble, and that's me. And I also have a hand of cards here, some of which are going to add additional symbols, which he has to match, others which have some special ability, which is going to make it a little more challenging. So the first one I'm going to do here is discard a card at random from each detective's hands. So I'll take one from Sherlock.
There we go.
And I will take one from Edith as well. And we'll put those up here in our discard pile. I'm going to play 1 additional card, and I'm going to do this one, which is going to add an additional 2
magnifying
I had microscope in my head. Magnifying glasses. So now he needs a total of 3 magnifying glasses, 1 fire, and 2 crowns. He now has a chance to respond to this. The lead player, which is our Sherlock, can play up to 2 additional cards, and the supporting player right now can play 1 additional card to try to, again, meet these additional requirements.
So I'll look through mine, and right now I do have a couple of magnifying glasses here. And over here, Edith, like I said, can actually help. And she actually took my 2 crowns, which I had over here. So I'm unable to do that. So all I can do here is right here, she has got the 1 magnifying glass and 2, so we need 3. I've got 2 from this. So what I'm going to do is play this one, adds 1 magnifying glass, add 1 of any talent, this says. So we will use the crown, and over here, Edith is going to go ahead and add this. So that will give her a crown as well. So this crown plus a crown from add one of any talent plus this and this. I have just solved that combining with this. So there are 3 magnifying glass, 1, 2, 3. That matches hers, 1, 2, 3. And it matches both the fire and the 2 crowns. So now I can now peek at what is underneath there.
That is right. So when that happens, we will remove this puzzle card and see what the clue is. The clue is despair. So what I need to do is look up here, and I'll peek again if I need to see if there are any despair that I've put up here. So peeking, I actually know it's on this one right here. So I would turn that over.
Okay, so now I know that despair is right here. Also, I don't know if that's the only despair here because she only has to flip over 1. But I do know despair is at E. So right here, I'm going to mark on my sheet a D right here. So then after Edith gets to go, I'm going to make my guess on where it is. And then she will have to look and compare.
That's right. All right, so we'll go ahead and clean this one up here. Nope, not that one. And then all of these are discarded.
Right.
And this card will actually remain on the board to show that that location has been fully investigated.
Right. So then after that, Edith will go with her turn to try to get one of these as well. And then at the end of that, I'm going to make a guess here. So for example, I will just go ahead and guess. I will guess pride is first. We'll say greed. I'll say falsehood. We'll say pride again here. And we'll end with jealousy.
All right, after double peeking at the cards up here, I determined that he has 2 of these correct and in the correct locations. I would let them know, they would annotate that, and we would set up for the next round.
Right.
We do this through the course of 4 rounds. At the end of 4 rounds, if the detectives get the correct order of the correct clues, then they win. If the criminal has been able to thwart that and outsmart them, then the criminal wins. And that's a brief overview of a round. Let's go back up top and see what we thought of the game. All right, and there you have it. Again, that's just kind of a dummy how to play. A couple different things we left out. We didn't talk about, like, if the clue isn't up there, you know, what you do with that. The second players, the kind of the 4 corner spaces. So a couple things, but all of this is handled in the quick start guide. So with that, let's start right there.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of quick start guides. Get me playing the game quicker. Give me what I need, and as those questions come up, then you have the rule book, which is more of a reference piece or an appendix at that point, right?
You would think if a company has a good game, they want to get that to the table as quick as possible.
Yes.
Because once it gets to the table, if you like the game, you're going to tell more people how much you like the game.
Right.
So quick start, it just makes sense to have that there.
And how did you think this one did in getting it to the table?
I think it was great. It was they were training wheels going forward, and I was confused as I went forward, as you should be, but then we started playing the game, I'm like, this is perfect.
Right.
And we actually ran it back again a second time, now that we knew everything going around.
Right, yeah, we definitely had to. We did the quick start guide, we're like, oh, wait, at the end, we messed up this big rule.
Right.
Let's start over. And then, but I mean, by our second full play of the game, we had no questions.
Yeah,
you know, and so I
easy.
really think the quick start guide nails that sweet spot of giving you enough information to play where you feel like you're playing the game right out of the gates.
Yep.
But also helping you discover the game in digestible kind of amounts of information.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. And I love those. I wish there was a lot more in board games.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we also talked about the IP, how we both enjoy this IP and we're excited about it. How well did you think this game represents that IP?
I think it did a lot. The deducing style of play, it's I really liked how it all tied in. I mean, you can say it is kind of, it could be any mastermind type theme, but I did like the different characters and how you were able to deduce certain clues and find out where they were. I liked the way it kind of gelled together.
Right. And I would mimic that as well here. I think I'm not typically a fan of movie stills in board games.
No.
And so that was one that kind of twinged a little bit as well going into this. I was like, how well is it going to be? I think it works okay in this one. I think some of the artwork is a little bit dark, you know, but if you...
Right.
So it does have a little bit of that, like, it would have been cool if there was this art and you could really show that expression a little bit more. but it didn't bother me. I don't feel like it detracted from the game because it was movie stills.
No, and I also like some of the cards named like things like Not So Fast or whatever. They were like quotes from the actual show as you play the cards. And that was really fun, especially the cards that the criminal got.
Yes.
They were really fun little ways of mischief cards. I did like that a lot.
Right, and I mean, I talk a lot about how much I like that thematic integration, right?
Yeah.
Like, do the mechanisms fit the theme? And you
Right.
talked about that, you know, the criminal cards, the names of the cards kind of correspond to what they do.
Right.
You know, and I do really like that. I did have some concerns about, we'll kind of switch to mechanisms here for a minute. I did have some kind of concerns on this is too hard or this doesn't make sense or why is that clue telling you that? But if you think about the theme, so one concern I had was when you are setting the board as the criminal, you don't have a lot of choices on what clues you're leaving out. You get 4 clues to set the game and you have to put all 4 of them out, you know? And so I didn't really like that control or lack of control there. But again, when you think about it thematically, you're out committing a crime. If you would leave no clues behind, you know? So you really don't have a whole lot of, I guess, choice. I mean, you do, but it just kind of made sense, I guess, is what I'm saying, is you don't necessarily know what clues you're leaving behind. If you could control it, you'd leave none. But you can't.
And I agree with that. And one thing I will add is the fact that I think you need to play to where you do choose the location of those cards at the top. The criminal, it can't be random. Because what's fun is to look at it and say, okay, I don't think you'd put 2 prides in a row. I don't think, and try to really deduce what you think they do. And if they just randomly put cards out, which happened the first play, it doesn't help. I think it's fun to actually think, okay, would you do this? Would you? So that's a fun little give and take of the mechanics that I didn't think I'd like as much as I did.
I don't remember which one, but I think in one of, or I know in one of our games, you actually said, like, I actually feel like a detective trying to get in your mind.
Yes,
How would
exactly.
you do this? What would you do? I know you didn't get to control those cards, but you did get to control the order of them. You didn't get to control the clues, but you do get to control where they went. Where would you put the really difficult one? Where would how would you balance out the symbols?
And that's exactly it. It's like I thought you would want to hide the clues on the board under the ones that were harder for me to get. Yeah. Or do you think I'd think that? And then when you start looking at the patterns at the top, it's kind of like when you do a test and you answer C on like 4 questions in a row, you're like, there's no way that C is all 4 questions, which it could be. But now you're like, there's no way there's 3 prides in a row. So I really like that getting into the mind of the person doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the one concern that I had after a couple plays was the balance. And so I want to hear, we haven't talked about this because I didn't want your opinion until this very moment right here.
Really about anything, not just the game.
To be clear, I never want your opinion.
No.
All right. But I will open this for the audience sake here. What do you think about the balance? Do you think it is easier to be the criminal or the detectives?
I think it's easier to be the criminal just because you kind of have to be lucky as the detective to get the right ones. Because you could really grab that same clue you've got over and over and over. Because if you have 2 players out there, you get limited clues. So you could it will come down the majority of time to a good guess at the end.
See, and I think I might disagree slightly. I think you have to be more strategic as the detectives. And I say that because I think you only get 6 cards at the beginning of your turn.
Right.
And so as the active investigator, you can play 1 to 3, and then you can play up to 2 additional ones in response to the criminal.
Yes.
Then you don't refill your hand size. It goes to the next player's turn. And so now you're the support character and you can play up to 1. So you have to really decide, like, man, I could throw these cards down and really deplete this. I could play 4 cards. Then you're only holding 2 cards going into that supporting role. And so I really think that it's important to strategize that more as the detective player, which kind of makes sense. And so again, back to that theme, it really feels like that. The detectives have to think about this, and I have 3 ways in my hands I can make this work. Which one holds back what I'm going to need for later?
And as with any game, knowing the cards the opponent has will also change how you feel or how you play. Like, for instance, you don't want to play those 3 cards at first because I know as a criminal, you've got that card that'll cancel my entire hand. Whatever I put down. So you want to hold some back, but how much do you hold back? Have they already played that card? Do you have it in your hand? There's a lot, and you're right, there's a lot of balance you can get in there.
Right, so I think that this is one that rewards with more play. My first couple of plays, I definitely felt like, there's some balance issues,
Right.
It's way too easy as the criminal, it's way too easy as the detectives. And because we saw those two different spectrums, it just means the game is lucky. Like, I kind of went through this gambit or this journey of thoughts on this, which I came down to this game rewards multiple plays.
It really does. Now, one thing you have not mentioned yet is the box size.
Which is atrocious.
Which it doesn't, and that was a big turnoff from me.
Yeah.
Because the box size, I mean,
You can hold it up. Yeah. It's Monopoly.
It's, yeah, can you see that? It looks like when I looked at it, I thought it's going to be a roll and move. I'm like, I'm not looking for it. It looks very mainstream roll and move style.
Yeah.
And I think that does a disservice to the good game inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spoiler.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's a big thing for me.
Absolutely, yes. I think there's a couple things that they could have helped themselves with. And there's not, component-wise, there's no reason it couldn't be in a smaller box
Right.
as well. But it definitely has that Milton Bradley kind of feel to it in the box, as well as the colors and things like that. All right, anything else you want to say before we get to final thoughts?
No, I think you've covered most things.
Okay.
I do like the fact that it comes out quick and it goes back up quick. And I think a lot of people will compare it to different things like Mastermind and a Rising 5. And I will say, one thing I like about this more than Rising 5 is great. Rising 5 depends on an app that sometimes is available and sometimes not. I know it was down from the store, it's back up and all this. I think I like this. It's simpler than Rising 5, but I think I do like it better.
Okay. So where would you come down on this one?
I would come down, it's hard. I'd give it a 7.
Okay.
You know, I tend to want to go higher, but I think I'm wondering how much it's going to the table. And really, I think if the box looked different, this just sounds very superficial. But if I bring the box out and set it there, I think people are going to go, I don't know. But it's a good game. Once they play it, I think they'll want to play it 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great end of the night filler game.
Yeah. I'm going to come a little bit higher. I'm going to come in at 8 on this one. I really liked it. And I think that score went up with the repeated plays. It definitely, as I kind of got over that hesitation of it has balance issues or it's too lucky, when I really came down to it, I think that you might have one of those games sometimes where it's like, wow, the luck really hurt me on that one. Let's play it again. Because the box here says, I believe it says it's 45 minutes. Is that right? Or 20 minutes per player, something like that.
It says 45, which I think that's long.
See, and I disagree. I think that it is 45 minutes, but it doesn't feel like 45 minutes because you're engaged the entire time. And to me, if you can have me sit down and play a game for 45 minutes and I feel like it was only 20 minutes, that's awesome. I mean, I had fun. I was immersed in the game. I really enjoyed what it was doing. And if you win, you actually feel clever.
And that's the thing. At the end, the tension of that final guess on both sides, you feel, like I can say you feel clever on either side if you get it. Because you're like, ooh, I could be off by one. I know most of it. And you just have to just take a leap of faith. I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a seal of approval from both of us,
Yes.
actually. So seal of approval for Enola Holmes, Finder of Lost Soul. Souls. I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
I'm Joey Evans.
Go find those souls.
They're there. Just look.
Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
I'm Joey.
I didn't do my last name.
No, are we not doing last names?
I don't know.
I guess we have no last names today.
Nope, not today. None for you.
See if you can deduce it.
All right, from the top.
I did good not laughing at your voice because I hear it more when you're loud.
Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
I'm Joey Evans.
Oh my gosh, I was just proud of myself. I was so proud of myself because I got my last name. I was like, nailed it.
What kind of drugs are you on?
I don't know. Real good one.
It's so good. Your voice is so heart emoji.
That's what I thought you meant. Heart emoji.
Fire.
Yes, my voice is fire. Okay. All right.
Here we go.